Jump in. If you got any questions, folks, jump in and just ask. So unmute yourself, just say, hey, look, Ian, I don't agree with that or don't understand that. And then I could basically maybe spend a minute or two quickly on that item and help you through that process. Also, there is going to be an opportunity to book a 15 minutes call with me after this session at some stage. If you've got any follow-up questions around what we're talking about today, just please do me a favor, just book in the time and we'll have a quick chat and hopefully help you through. We're here to serve our community, which is IT services. We're really passionate about it. We've been doing it for quite a few years and we get great results. We're a coaching business and more importantly, we want to make sure people like you have a successful business at the end of the day. Okay. So as we just talked about people joining the next 5 minutes, we're going to then talk a bit about the future roadmap. It's really important. It's just trying to break your mindset from where you are now and where you want to be in 12 months time. That's, it's really important. A lot of things that are holding us back in life to get to where we want in our businesses. But one of the main areas is, unfortunately, is our mindset. So just a bit of a work on that, quickly, a bit of a framework, a bit of strategy on that. Probably going to then focus a lot of my time on the E12 roadmap here, folks. That's what really the session's about. I've actually included a few other snippets of information here where I might have time at the end to go through that. So I'm going to go basically from here to here, up the top here, and go there, and then I'm going to go back to here. So I just want to lose you people too much, but you'll see I'll go through that. I just want to make sure we understand the roadmap, how you can take that, how you can apply that to your business, and the reasons why. So it's really important. Okay, are we all ready to go? Okay, let's just kick straight onto it. Okay, so the future roadmap. Why do we actually talk about the future roadmap? Why is it important? Well, a lot of the times when we actually do coaching, and I actually got coaches that coach me from the US and everything else, and one of the biggest things they always talk about is when they talk about people is their past is their future. And that's quite sad in reality, but it's quite true. Like 95, 98% of the time, your past behavior is your future behavior. So if you're not ticking goals currently, you're probably not going to kick goals in the future. Okay. And that's really important to understand. If you're going to make changes, if you're going to do things, you've got to make sure that you have a goal, you have a roadmap, you have a process to make sure you don't slip in the old ways. Otherwise, you're not going to achieve what you want in the future. Now, everyone on this call has a different type of business model, different type of approach, and different objectives. So when I always talk to people, it's really around understanding what do they want in their situation. Like not everyone needs to be Bill Gates. Not everyone, you might want to just have a comfortable life, make sure that you're maximizing what you're doing and enjoy the lifestyle balance. That could be one of the other, areas that you look at. But whatever you do at the end of the day, you've got to make sure that you are in control of your life. Okay. And a lot of IT people, the biggest challenge they have is they fall into the gap of, oh, I'm too busy. And the client wants me. The client's this, the client's right. All these problems you keep on having all the time. And at the end of the day, the client rules you and you don't have the control to rule the client. And your life is basically really, really, difficult and it's very hard. And it's very tough in the IT services industry. And it's IT services industry is growing mega. It's still getting bigger. Even the recession in the US and the UK, I talked to those people, clients in Europe and US, they're under the pump as of yesterday, all right? They are under the pump and they are going to be under the pump for the next 3-5 years out, okay? So just bear this in mind, take control of your lives, and that's really important. The one-page strategy, as I said, I might not come back to it, might not have enough time. Have a strategy, keep it one page, keep it simple, 1 to 3 year plan. Make sure that you actually can use that one-page strategy to build a business plan at a high level that you can execute on. And basically your team or people around you understand where you're at with that. One of the biggest challenges I see with people around, a business plan is they have a 45-page business plan and they spend so much time on it and then they can execute it. This type of business plan, you can print up, stick it against the wall and just rip it up and redo it and rehack it when you need to every quarter. All right. So make sure you have a simple approach. Otherwise, it's too difficult. And we fall into the trap. A lot of us are technical backgrounds. We fall into the trap of being too detailed. Sometimes in this situation, simple is best because you won't execute on it. And that's a big thing that we teach when we coach our clients at all the time. If you can't execute it, there's no point writing it down. And most of the time it's overcomplicated. Simplify it, communicate it to the broader audience and your teams, and make sure you can actually, execute on it correctly. Then the other thing, that one of the other areas that we do happen to battle with in IT services is our personal time and our time with our clients. We mentioned that early on. There is a hack I've got in this as well. We call it the preloaded calendar. I've been doing it for multiple years. I have a calendar that's my whole team, when they work with me, and even my clients get access to that calendar. And it's a 12-month calendar from January to December. And by November the previous year, it's already set up for the whole following year. Now, if you're not in control, things will get in control of you. All right. So that's why we really do the preloaded calendar. Now, if you're on site and you're billing and doing all these things, that's even more so to have this. Okay. So certain days we're billing, certain days you won't be billing, or maybe it's 3 days and 2 days you might not be billing. You've got to have that as a rhythm, and you've got to make sure that you are doing things according to that calendar. And that's really, really important. So just bear that in mind. The preload calendars is one of the other areas that we're going to talk about. And obviously, mostly we're going to spend time on the actual roadmap, which we've been developing here for at least the last 7 years. And that roadmap is powerful. Okay. It changes slightly every now and then. But what that roadmap does, it helps us when we talk to our clients and communicate to our clients where they need to work on and how they need to work on certain things. So you can take this roadmap. The workbook is being dropped in there into the chat. If you haven't got it, just go back into chat, and one of our team members will drop the workbook, and you can grab that actual roadmap at the end of the session, and you can just use it yourself, or you can develop one slightly that's more tailored to your business. But the roadmap is powerful. Okay. Don't do everything on the roadmap. Just take your time to go through it over a period of time. Okay. So that's really important. Sometimes everyone goes, whoa, look at these roadmaps, and we're going to just jump in there. We're going to do all this work. No, it doesn't work that way. You've got to take your time. You've got to build capacity in your business to actually step away and do internal projects as well. So there's all these type of things you've got to think about. So just bear that in mind. Don't overload yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to get something done. Okay. So that's the roadmap. We're going to talk a bit about that, probably majority of the session. And that's it. So let's not worry about that slide. We've got our cameras on for those that can. I love to have a face to talk to. It's awesome. And it's nice to have feedback. So if you've got a question, put into chat, or just jump off and ask us as well. The workbook is in the actual thing. Now we've got a Facebook group. Grab us Facebook. You can join me if you get, we put a lot of stuff on Facebook as well, and a Facebook group free of stuff. Just come along and join that. I want to grow the community worldwide. IT services, not many people that do what I do. There is a guy who does SaaS products. If you're building SaaS products, a guy called Dan Martel out of Canada, follow him. He's a machine. And but I'm IT services, and that's my gig. I had a company of over 100 people, sold it to top global 30 company on the planet, and basically have multiple businesses since then. And I've been coaching for the last 7 years, and it's what I do, I love, and I've got depth, and I'm niche. And yeah, so if you ever get to coach with me, you'll understand the power of a niche. All right, there is a link there in the workbook to grab time afterwards if you want to chat. And there will probably be a couple there the team will be putting in there. Now, I just want to just talk a bit about this mindset thing. It's hell of important. And it's, the mind is in such control of everything. Okay. And it's the way we communicate. It's the way we react to things on client sites if things go wrong, or staff members. It's so critical to all of us. But when I started coaching 6-7 years ago, one of the coaches that I used at the time was really hammering away, and it's this very simple process, and we call it the future roadmap. And I'm just going to take you through this here. It's a bit of a framework, but it's actually works for anything, right? It really does. So let's say, for example, today we're having a discussion, folks, and today is I'm looking at my calendar. It's the 4th of May. I had a busy week so far. Today's the 4th of May. I think some of my clients have put me on the 4th of May newsletter for Star Wars, and they've got me in AI dressed up in some stuff that should be coming out. So I'm looking at the next day. I'll get some newsletters from them. But let's say today is the 4th of May, and we have this discussion with you folks, right? Now you can draw this on a piece of paper right now. If you've got something, or a pad or an iPad or whatever you use, Service Pro, you can draw this line. Draw a line down at the bottom here and draw a line that goes straight. Sorry, not that straight. We rub that out. A line that's straight enough to give you an idea of a straight line. And that's, when I talk to people, I want to say, hey, where do you want to be and where you want to achieve things? And they all want to go, oh, Ian, I really want to be here. I really want to be right at the top. Here's my scenario. I want to double my business in the next 3 years. I want to have a work-life balance, whatever it is they want, which is what we talk about. They want to go here. And they have the best case scenario in their mind. That's what humans do really well. Right? We set ourselves up for an idea. Wow, I want that. I want to do it. And off they go, and they put a lot of effort into that. Then what actually happens in reality, nothing changes. Okay, because your past is your future. If you look at the sales numbers, if you look at revenue, if you look, people are, falling behind, all those type of things, and projects aren't getting delivered, it's going to replicate if you don't solve it. If you don't change those problems, the future is going to be the same as the past. All right. So I'm just going to ask you guys quickly on your piece of paper to quickly draw out, where do you want to be over the next 12 months? Because majority of people want to be up the top here, best case scenario, but they don't do anything to change their behavior. Right. And that's what this roadmap's all about. So we're going to lead into it now. And this roadmap's hopefully going to help you a bit to change your behavior and become the best version of what you want to be in. Okay. So I always say, let's be best. But what actually tends to happen is I talk to a lot of people. Okay. So I'm very passionate in what I do. I talk to a lot of people, and I have calls. I probably have 2 or 3 calls, sales calls a week to get onto our program. We don't let everyone onto our program. There's got to be a reason why they're on our program. And when I do have a chat with them, it's all integrated into our CRM basically. And I know when I speak to them, a year later or 2 years later, even longer sometimes, and I look at the numbers that we spoke about, they had not progressed. Majority of them hit below. Believe it or not, they actually go backwards. And that's because the journey of IT services business owner is quite tough. It's not easy. Okay, we know that. It's quite demanding. So majority of people hit below. What I'm saying for you today, folks, is please look at the roadmap, try and hit the best case scenario, build a bit of a plan, and actually start to execute on it. And if you need us to help you on the process, give us a shout. If you don't need us, brilliant. And you just do me a favor. Don't be one of the majority of people I speak to that go backwards. Okay. So that doesn't make sense, everyone. We want to be best case scenario of ourselves, but worst case, we think, we're going to be at 12 months, but that never really happens. We end up majority of the time, unfortunately, at the below. We actually don't get better over time. We actually get worse because we're not improving our business or our skill sets or, the product that we're working with or whatever it is. Okay. So let's bear that in mind. Let's make sure we change our future and we make a stake in the ground of what we're going to do to change it. Otherwise, we'll trend negative and we end up with below. All right. So how can you achieve top line? The roadmap is one of those things that actually helps. All right. I'm going to go right on to that. But before we do that, I'm just going to give you one more example of what an IT services business model looks like. So this is important because it feeds into the roadmap and it helps you out. Okay. So when we talk to clients, we draw this diagram. Okay. It's the attract, okay, convert, deliver, and scale. You think about it, that's what you got to do in your IT services firm. You got to attract customers, all right? So you got to attract customers through the market. So that's customers, okay? You've got to actually attract leaders in your business, because what actually happens if you just keep on doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to get tired. You're going to have no energy in the business. You've got to get new people in the business, new IT guys in the business or girls. And, some of those people need to be leaders. You want to hire the best people in the market. Don't hire an average people. Average people in services give you problems. All right, at client sites, you lose margin, technical debt starts happening, all the issues start taking place. There has to be the 18. There has to be the 18. They need to communicate with customers. Biggest challenge we have in IT services, I see it day in, day out when I talk to our clients, it's about 30 every 2-3 weeks I talk to in total. They can't communicate to their customers correctly. I'm sorry, you don't have a job in the future. That's what's happening. ChatGPT, all these AI tools, the lower end coders, there are going to be the specific guys going to survive. But generally over a period of the next 6 to 12 months, already people are losing their roles around basic sort of coding. And if you can't talk and code or configure and talk or come up with solutions for your clients and talk, you're going to be in hurt of pain. So make sure when you're hiring the 18 that basically they are able to communicate and communicate correctly. Biggest challenge we know for multiple years, 30 years I've been doing this, is we're trying to communicate to our customers and our customers can't understand us. I'm talking about the finance people in your client site or the logistics people. They don't know, what is the IT guy talking about? We've heard this. Make sure you hire the 18. Then we've got to go on to the convert side, right? We've got to make sure we can do sales. How do we pitch? Okay. All these levers, there's 9 of them in total, is how you can pull your business to make sure you get the best out of your IT services business. There's 9 levers, 9. You've just got to be good at all of them. Take your time, go through it, and the roadmap's going to help you. So the sales, basically, how do we do the pitch? How do we actually show outcomes before actually selling? Like, oh, I can do some product. I can build some stuff. I can do that. People don't want to hear about that. They want to hear the outcome. They want to talk about what is the value that they're receiving. They're paying X, Y, Z for you to do it. If you just do some tech stuff, no offense, but you're not going to get the value out of that deal. The margins aren't going to be there. All right. And if you really want to understand how to work with your client and get the best out of them, you've got to spend time to learn about how to engage, how to onboard with clients, how to keep them happy, and how to make sure that at the end of the day, those clients are long-term clients. Like someone already said on the call, they've got 7-year-long clients. Brilliant. I love that. It's a big tick for me because you know what that person's doing? They are delivering. All right. Not do one project and the client goes, 50-50. I don't know if I really need these guys. I'll go to someone else. So if you've got long-term clients, you're doing something well. Okay. Keep on doing that. But sometimes what you have to do is win new clients, and that can become a challenge as well. So just bear that in mind, winning new clients, all that stuff. Then the last part is deliver. We do this all the time. All right. Normally we're quite good. So when we do assessments and roadmaps with our clients, delivering they're quite strong at. But really, it's how to build IP, how to take some of the services that you deliver, unpack that, build that into solutions, and then build that into a product to sell that as a real product or as a service offering. And we call that a packaged offering. Really important to understand that. We'll also talk about rates. Make sure the rates are really, really good and making sure they're fair, making sure you get value, and making sure the risk is actually included in that rate as well. So we've got to talk about rates, and we talk about services and how we deliver those services, how we manage those services, and what are we going through over the next year, 2 years, 3 years. The service offering is hell of important. I'm about to do a training with my clients around ChatGPT over the next 6 weeks, and that is mind-blowing, right? What we can really do for our clients and what our clients are going to do for themselves, because we're leveraging ChatGPT in a new way. And it's not building code. It's actually doing landing pages, emailing. It's all type of stuff, sales emails, having the calls, but doing it the right way, because a lot of people don't know how to use ChatGPT and they don't know about the prompt system and everything else. We've built mega spreadsheets where we're going to help people through that. But that's a service that we're bringing to our clients Now, I'm not saying that they can use that to their clients that probably can't, but you've got to know what the next service offering is for you in your business. So is it AI? Is it RPA, robotics, automation, whatever it is? Or, are you going to stay with your current services and keep them going? Those are the things. You've got to understand what you're going to do for the next year to 3 years on the services and how you're going to place those bets to make sure you get value out of it. Okay. And then the last thing is really important. It's around scaling your business. How do you scale your business so you as a business owner or shareholder actually gets some form of a return, not a salary, because if you want a salary, you can go and work for another company, but we're talking about getting a really good profitable business and getting a dividend out of that. And that's really important around shareholder value. So we just talk about that. That is the model of the 9 areas. So we've got attract, convert, deliver, and scale. And that's how we work as an organization when we communicate and we coach with our clients and we take them through the roadmap. So I'm going to go into the roadmap next. Any questions so far? I'm just going to stop for a second and I have a bit of a water break. Any questions so far before we get onto the roadmap? Any questions?
No, all good.
I normally get a question about Mudgee Brewing. It's one of the breweries I own. So this is a plug. If you're in New South Wales and you go out to the Mudgee region, there's a brewery there. I'm one of the owners. It's fantastic. Okay, so there we go. A bit of a plug for those people that are interested in breweries. I've got 2 breweries, one in New South Wales in the country and one in the actual Brookvale, Northern Beaches. All right, so here's the plan. I'm just quickly going through. We're not going to cover that today. Use it and take it. The preloaded calendar, that is my calendar for 2022, guys. It actually tells people where I'm at and how I operate. And that's exactly what you need to have for your clients. So all my clients have a preloaded calendar. They have a marketing calendar, very similar, but slightly different. We build it in a spreadsheet. We get it. It takes us about 3 to 4 weeks to build it. We normally build it in November the year before, and then we release it for the year. So we know what's happening. We know when we're going on holiday. The staff know what's happening. We know how to interact with everyone, and that's really important. All right. So I'm not going to go through that at the moment. I might come back to that, but I'm going to start off with the roadmap. Okay. This is why we came to the session. Okay. All ready? Okay. Any questions? Just jump on chat if you want. And one of the team members will reach out and speak to me. So just around the lead gen, one of the main areas that IT services companies are pretty bad at, and that's the marketing lead gen type of thing, right? So we looked at those 9 areas, and one of them is around the market, and it's lead gen. And a lot of people really battle with it. And there's a reason why. Because we're not, most of us, until we get big enough to like 40-man consultancy firms, don't really have a marketing person in place, all right? So we battle with that lead gen. So what we've done over the last 4 or 5 years is we've developed a whole lot of lead gen tools that you get when you join us as a coaching client. But here are some of them that we have developed that you get and you can actually use. But you don't have to join us. You can take this roadmap away and you can do some of these activities yourselves. So in the lead gen model, there's like really 4 areas that we want to talk about. It's once again, keeping this simple, guys. We want to attract, scale, deliver, nurture, and convert. Convert's at the end, okay? Because we've got to nurture. There's a whole lot of things. Lead gen is hell of important. If you're going to scale your business, that's great. But if you're a small business right now, you're probably living off referrals. And that's good because it means you're doing good work. But if you want to hire 3 or 4 guys in the next 3 months or 4 months, or hire 20 guys, then you can't rely on referrals. Referrals are bringing you 5% of new deals every year. Okay, on average, that's the market trend that we get from the benchmarking we do. So how do you actually do more than that? Well, you've got to build in a mechanism to get new clients. And the first part of the rank is lead gen. So how does this model work? I'm just going to explain this to you. You've got this in the download. We can look at things like, what I do is when I go with my clients, I actually go and tick through the box. So this is how you use a model. And it's the same for the next 2 sheets above there as well. You take your pen, you put this out and you say, hey, database activation. Like you might have a list of people, put that in a a marketing automation solution and actually send out a blast, a couple of things on email marketing and start to build some content with them. So that's what database reactivation is. You might have a database. Everyone's got a database, some sort. People all the time say to me, we don't have anyone, but you do. And you either use LinkedIn, you use, there's other tools out there. You go to events 4 years ago, there's a lot of stuff that you can grab, lift up, create a database quite quickly. So we do database activation. We pop that into what we call the IMA for our clients. Okay, it's a marketing solution. It's like HubSpot, but better. And it's reasonably priced. And that's really important because we're all small businesses. And we do a database of activation. Appointment engine, how to set up people so that when they can get hold of you, they will get an appointment, right? That's one of the things we do. We do passive marketing stacks, message sequence, how to actually write messages on email, on freaking LinkedIn. Those are the type of things we're talking about. Converting, making sure when people land on a landing page, how to come back to you and actually tick the box and say, hey, I would like to speak to you. All right. We also in lead gen talk about marketing, content marketing, very closely linked. Warming up prospects, how to educate your PFCs. PFCs, folks, are perfect future customers. A lot of people don't know who your perfect future customers. When I talk to our clients, after the first, 3 or 4 sessions we have one-on-one, they can't believe they never had clarity over 5-6 years around what the perfect future customer is. A lot of people still don't know who the perfect future customer is. Like if you're going to write a message, don't just boil the ocean. When people say to me, oh, we could get these 4 or 5 industries. Well, no, that's a loser sign. You're losing every day of the week. Like you've got to make sure you're going after one industry at a time. You focus, you double down on it, you get really good at it, and then you go to the next industry. Next industry. Don't try to be too generic. And that's the thing. So we got clients to do Microsoft services that are just doing government, for example, that are just doing, utilities, but they've got a couple of apps and they're working on those things and they're building that, or they're doing Power BI for that unique area. They don't try and do everything because it's too much competition. You've got to cut through that. So make sure you're niching down to the exact thing. I niche. I'm an IT services guy. I did 8 years ago, join a few boards of non-IT companies, and I gave that up and said, mate, this is great, exciting, but my value I can add is nothing because I've been doing IT services for 30 years. So I came back to IT services. I realized 8 years ago, I need to swim in my lane, and I'm really good at what I do. And that's what you guys need to start to think about. How do you niche? How do you get really good? And then move from one area to the next area. Okay. How to build an audience. How to do LinkedIn Live. Actually, we're on LinkedIn Live now. We do LinkedIn Live all the time. So this session, some of the guys you go into LinkedIn and you'll see probably 20, 30 people on LinkedIn following us as well as logged in directly, and LinkedIn Live is hell of important. So we teach our clients how to do all these things. The ITVA is are guys that actually help us for Philippines. A lot of the stuff we cannot do cheaply here in Australia or New Zealand. That's who we're targeting today on this call. So we get a whole lot of Filipinos to help us out. Cheaper rates, quicker, faster, and things that people want to do. And it's so hard to get people here locally to do some of these things. So we do a lot of the lead gen through Philippines, and a lot of our clients will actually ask us, hey, can we use your team? We go, yeah, fine. And we hand them over to the ITVA guys. Okay. We also do a whole lot of stuff around attracting. This is the lead gen. So how does lead gen actually work? Let's see if we've got another free. I haven't got a free page. Sorry, guys. Let me just quickly do this for a second. Let me just add a quick page here. I'm going to explain something here. A lot of people go, oh, yeah, we don't need marketing. I go, okay, well, it's fine. You can grow your business through referrals. You can also grow your business through partnerships. You might not need marketing. So you just got to work your model. So partnerships are quite powerful if you get the right people and they trust you. And referrals, obviously, you got to ask for referrals so that it just don't land on your lap. That's the quickest way to get deals, right? And the other thing is, if this partnership is actually quite quick to fast forward those deals. So if you're in IT services, 3 to 12 months could be a deal sequence timeline. Depends on how big the organization you're going after. If it's mid-enterprise, 3 to 6. If it's large, it's 6 to 12. All right, that's if you go direct from start to finish. Okay. If you got partnerships, it'll actually fast track that by a less couple of months. You might lose 10 to 15% margin to that partner. You have to subcontract to that. That's fine. It's quicker. And guess what? You don't have to wait 3 months to actually, make sure the client understands everything else. You've got the partners doing that, a lot of that legwork for you, if it's a proper partnership, by the way. The referrals, they are gold, but unfortunately, people just don't want to refer anyone every day of the week. So that's why it's quite difficult to grow your business. So what we're talking about here is we're talking about lead gen. Now, when I draw this funnel, people go, oh, that's a CRM. That's how we've been learn how to learn about CRM. It's like a funnel. You throw everything in and out the box, the thing at the bottom is gold. Unfortunately, the way I look at it is 2 funnels. One's a marketing funnel and one is the CRM funnel. Well, and I just call it the sales funnel. This is what we teach when we talk to our clients. And basically what happens here, guys, is you get leads. You get marketing, campaign leads, you get all that stuff, you put them in here. And eventually you warm them up. And they go through 3 different stages and out comes a warm lead. Now, this isn't a sale. This is someone that's proof of, is a PFC, is a perfect fit customer, and they're warm now because they know who that person is. All right. And that's what really is a marketing qualified lead. MQLs, they call them in the industry. Don't have to worry about that, but it's MQL, marketing qualified lead. What actually happens here is when they're warm, they actually fall into the next funnel. Now, this is a funnel that we all think of. It's the sales funnel where the opportunities go from 0%, all right, to 100%. And guess what happens? A deal falls out and you are making money at the end. So just bear that in mind. There are actually 2 types of funnels. You've got to warm people up. What you've been doing here is the referrals are becoming like this. And what actually happens is you're getting referrals and you're actually going, wow, that's fantastic. It's good. I'm getting referrals, but you're missing this part here. And if you want to grow your business, you have to do some work there. That's all I'm saying. Does anyone understand that? Any questions so far? All right. No questions so far. I'm just having a quick glass of water in the background. All right. Now, that's the lead gen part. We're going to get onto the more exciting stuff as we go. All right. So when people start an IT services business, they start with their mate, someone on the project, or a fellow colleague, and off they go. And they say we're going to become contractors, and then 6-7 months later they become a services firm, and they can they join up in that. That's what majority of consultancy firms actually start. They start with people, like-minded people on a project. Hey, we can do this better. We don't want to work for Accenture, Deloitte. We probably want to go and do this, and off they go and do. That's probably a lot of people end up starting that way. Okay. Or you might be an IT services desk guy doing Microsoft Service Professionals, whatever, anything like that. And then you end up doing a similar route. So there's a couple of routes to get into owning an IT services business. There's no one route that actually is the same. Okay. But what I'm saying though is really important is it's very similar when you get to this point here, because you'll see here, a lot of things aren't done at the foundation level. And this is level 1, we call it foundation. This is your roadmap, guys. So what you should do is when you go along here, once again, you go tick or X. And if there's a tick, that's great. If it's an X, you should just write that in here. Shareholders agreement. I'm just using this example. Now, the reason why I say shareholders agreement, do you know how many partnerships fall apart and how many things go wrong and they don't have a shareholders agreement? It happens every day of the week. All right. So unfortunately, you need a shareholders agreement. Now, it might not be a priority. That's awesome. That's fine. So don't make it a priority, but put it on the list of the right next things to do. Put it on the side of all these things. So you've got to go through this checklist, work out what is right and what's wrong. And then when you've done that, anything with the X, you put over here. So let's say, you don't run QBRs, quarterly business review. I've just been doing that right now with some of our Brisbane clients, Queensland clients. And I'm doing that now across New South Wales and Melbourne clients the next four weeks before we get ready for the 1st of July. And obviously in Australia, for those people who aren't watching from Australia, that's the financial year. We want to make sure we got everything cleaned up from last financial year, get it ready for next financial year. We want to make sure we're getting our goals and objectives. We want to make sure we're getting paid. We want to make sure our staff are looked after. All these things we've got to do. Okay. So that's what the QBR does. But when you go through all these things here, you've got to make sure that you understand these are all the things around the shareholders' value. Now, owners generally are working in the business. They have 3 hats. There might be the consultant on site delivering work. There might be, a business owner, a director of the business, and they might be running a practice. Okay. So the thing at the end of the day is you got to make sure that you end up, picking the right topic that you need to get the right thing done at the right time. That's why it's called Right Next Thing. So we'll go a bit more into that now, into projects and how we break this up. But this here, I'm going to just quickly go run through that some of the things that aren't that easy to understand. DYL is design your life. A lot of people come to me. And basically, it's got to mute your ramp. Sorry for a second. A lot of people come to me and say to me, Ian, I'm fucking broken. I'm gone. I can't maintain this any longer. This is killing me. And that's because they haven't designed their life correctly around their business. There's no work-life balance, guys, when you're running an IT services business. Unfortunately, I've looked for that for myself for many years. It's very hard. You've got to take control of the business and you've got to design your life. So that's what the DYL is. It's a whole framework and exercise we take our clients through, making sure they get what they want out of what they need. Okay. Hell of important to make sure that you are in control of your life. Otherwise, a lot of the stuff doesn't work. Anyway, you go through there. Any questions there? Anyone can just quickly, I'm just going to open the floor quickly while I have some more water. Anyone has done a lot of the stuff or about to do some of the stuff? Just out of curiosity, anyone want to ask? Can I ask anyone there? I'm just having a look at the list. Go for it.
I have a question.
Yes, go for it.
I'm one of these little companies that follow the pathway you just described, looking at growth and looking at also changing my mindset, but it's so overwhelming. I'm looking at your slides and I'm thinking, wow, there's a lot here.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering where the starting point is. And I'm wondering what my next hire will be. Now I'm very small. I'm only employing 3 or 4 people at the moment.
Robin,
and looking at your slides and thinking, gee, what's the next step?
Yeah. So look, I've got companies that are 150 people here in this program that I run and coach. So this is like the ultimate, roadmap. So do not, first of all, get overwhelmed and say, oh my gosh, I've got so much to do. I'm never going to be able to do it. And then don't do anything. That's the first thing. So one of the things I think you got to think about is, and this is what these maps are, these things are here, are actually trying to work out what you really want. So why I have the 1-page strategic plan, it's actually not 1 page. You can print it out and make it 1 page, by the way. It's a bit of a con I have with my clients and they laugh at me. But you need to have your goals sorted out for year 1, year 2, and then your goals for year 3 sorted out on this. Really simple. So Robin, I think for you in this situation, start out there what you really want. And then once you've done that, then have a look at the roadmap and see where you can tick off certain things you think you need. Now, what I normally do is I have a 6-week game plan. So what we do is once you've got this target sorted out, I try and get their lives sorted out with the preloaded calendar because people get overwhelmed. So I say, hey, hand 5, and the problem is when you do this calendar, it actually, you're going to shock yourself when we do this exercise because people, when I coach them, believe they can do so much more, but they can't. And then they go, oh my gosh, it's, well, even if I work weekends, I still can't do all the stuff I want to do. So you've got to cut back. You've got to become really good at saying no to things. In this preloaded calendar, I have my best friend's birthdays in this calendar. I have my wedding anniversary. I have everything in here that is really important to me because you know what? Then I know it's locked away and nothing overrides it. So that's how I'm very, very conscious on making sure what we can do and how we do it. And that's what the preload calendar. So preloaded calendar works really well. And then when you go through the actual Robin, you go through these steps, you just got to make sure that you break these things up into mini projects. And we've got a little process we call 6-week game plan. It's actually 8 weeks. So you have 2 weeks off. And we break that up into quarters. And then what we do is we select any of these little boxes that we've ticked, we haven't ticked, and we cross to it. Let's say, for example, the shareholders agreement. Now, if you, Robin, are the only owner there, I'll put that off as, you know, a nice thing to have. But if you have a partner at some stage, you get the shareholders agreement sorted out. If you're the only person there, don't worry about it. Okay. So that, you know, that one there, you could just maybe say, question mark, leave it for later. But what you probably need to do in your situation is have a look at one. And I would say the one that really falls over, if you only got 3 people's, define what your clear roles are. And that can do as a 1-pager. We're not talking about writing a contract for yourself. Just have a 1-pager, but put that there and say, define roles. Now you're busy. You're probably billable. So take that define roles, Robin, and then put that into your 6-week game plan. And take 6 weeks to do it. All right. And you might have 2 things you could do in 6 weeks, but don't forget you're billable. You've got a life to live. So that's what we do. We chunk these things up into 6 weeks. Now, this is not a sell for us, but what we do is we have a lot of the stuff we've got recordings for, we've got accelerators, we've got templates, and the people just lift and shift and use it and they go quicker. But if you don't do that and you don't want to do that and you want to do your own thing yourself, just break it up in 6 weeks and spend your time on doing it. Don't try and say, tick all these boxes or crosses and then put them into a Kanban board and say, I want to do all these things, and you're going to kill yourself. So leave them off. Just do 2 or 3 things at a time. Right? A lot of people fall over that. Does that help a bit? Robert?
Yes, it does. Sorry, just finding my unmute button.
Okay, cool. No, that's great. I mean, nice to have a good question there. All right, now we're moving on to the next phase of this, and that's really around the roadmap itself. All right. This is where the juice is. So this is really, this part there, as I mentioned, is the shareholders, the owner of the business. These are things you need to do. If you're going to do a trade sale, no, that's fantastic, but you've got to be at a trade sale, just give you guys, because people ask me all the time, you've got to be roughly about a 30-man company minimum. All right, because no one's going to buy it. Generally, no one's going to buy it. A lot of our clients have been sold a company 2.5 years ago for 80 mil, helped 3 acquisitions, clients buy other companies. I've done a lot of stuff with them, and it's been quite exciting. But there is certain thresholds and everything else that we didn't know that, and now we do. But it's one of those things. So if you want to sell at the end, if that's part of your 5-year plan, you've got to make sure you're at the size where someone's going to buy you. That's why I'm just mentioning that, because it's one of the questions that always get asked. In this roadmap, really important is we've got this part here. This is, if you need something, we've got to look at, sales, for example. It's a big one. Everyone always says to me, we've got to look at sales. Well, what does sales look like? Well, sales breaks up into brainstorm sessions and strategy sessions. So this is how we use it. We don't want to go through the whole thing and tick, tick, tick. We just want to go, okay, I need sales at the moment. So in sales at the moment, I'm going to look at brainstorm and strategy session. That's really powerful. I don't do that. It's one of the reasons why I'm failing in sales. So in here, you just write the BS and strategy session. And this here is, how you get good at speaking to people for 15 minutes and the brainstorm session. And then the strategy session is about a 45-minute call with the client, normally on Zoom or Teams, and you have a discussion and you formulate a plan on how to get your message, get this vital information out of them first, and then put your message across so you can actually win some clients. So that's what the strategy session is, the brainstorm session is. Highly effective. It's a really good technique to get some people on board and some clients on board and get some traction. And then you've got to have a plan for all your sales. And then you've got to basically have a little bit of a CRM and a bit of hygiene around making sure you keep yourselves actually aligned. Now, a lot of people go out there, use HubSpot. I'm not a fan of HubSpot because it's really expensive when you really start to use it. So the first 2 years I might use it, and then later, oh my gosh, it's $1,750 to use the marketing component of HubSpot. It's a ripoff, and it's tied in for a year contract. Be really careful of that just on that, because I had that call today actually with a customer this morning at 9. So there are lots of little things, frameworks, career framework. How are you going to hire staff, maintain them, give them a career? Everyone that you hire, folks, believe it or not, and I say this and I really do mean it, everyone that you hire needs a career. You as business owners of your business don't really have a career. You got your own business. A lot of people seem to miss that when I talk to people. And I get really frustrated with them. And they go, oh, I just lost this guy and he's really good. He's a principal consultant or girl, principal consultant. I've lost him here. And like, I don't understand that. It's like, well, like, what are we offering? Oh, I gave him a great package, but where's his career path? Where was he going to be? How is he going to become a better person, a better version of himself? You have not shown that person a future. Got to make sure you show people a future. Otherwise, you are in trouble. Okay? Really, really in trouble. If this is not, we're in a high, intense market. All right? We're not like, no offense to my team, my great team, and some of them on the call, Philippines, where there's a lot of people looking for jobs, or India, or Indonesia, or those type of unfortunate, difficult countries to live in. We are trying to hire people in Australia. A lot of our clients, 90% of them, I've got clients who've got offshore teams in KL and Philippines and India themselves, but they have no issue with staff retention and everything else, to a certain degree that they don't. Not like it's here in Australia. So you've got to look after your staff and you've got to put the time and effort into that. If you don't do that, you're going to keep on losing people as you hire people. Very different. Okay, very different. So make sure you've got a career framework and it's understandable. It's a future for them. All right. You've got to basically move up the framework here, guys. Offload basic tasks. Get an admin person internally, get someone internally to look after these tasks. Because otherwise you can't do everything and you're going to fall over. I've got clients that I was speaking to last month who's still doing invoicing. And they're like a $4 million business. I go, wow, invoicing, how many timesheets, how many weekly things? Oh man, it's a mess. You can't, you're not paying yourself enough to actually go through that pain. Do not do that. So start to offload basic tasks to someone who is an hourly rate cheaper than you. That's another big tip. Offload basic tasks and things that you're not wanting to do as well. Like if you own your own business, do the things you want to do. Don't do the things you don't have to do. You know what I mean? It's a hard thing to do anyway. Have a business and run a business, but try and do the things that you're really good at, because you're going to do them better and you're going to enjoy doing them, and you are probably going to get more money that way into your business. All right. Then we go into things like always review your rate cards every year, especially with inflation at the moment. Just jack up your rates by 6%. I would say if you haven't done it over the last year, come 1st of July, let your clients know that you're doing that 2 months in advance. So get off the freaking call today, write up an email, send it to your client, say, hey, inflation's biting everyone. It's gone up by 6%. That's what I'll do, honestly, if you haven't done it in the last year. And then if there's any fallback, have a call with them. All right. It might negotiate to 3 or 4%, because guess what? You're going to be paying your staff pretty shortly a lot more if you haven't. And guess what? That's your money coming out of your back pocket. All right. Now, a lot of this thing is, guys, the old world of bespoke, we write code all day long and out comes a freaking solution. That becomes less and less. It's more about configuration more times nowadays. And it's only getting quicker and faster. So you got to come up with a hero service. And when I call about a hero service, is you've got to be something there that the client just looks at and goes, oh, I need that. That person's doing that so well. And it's your hero product or service, as I call it, which is what you're famous for. Like, I know you guys are really good at doing what you're doing most of the time, but when I talk to my clients, I'm going like, so what? How many Microsoft or SAP or IBM or UiPath or whatever partners out there, how many partners do you need? There's a lot of them. But what are you really famous for? Tell me, like, no, that's not good enough. The client just sees you as just one of the others. You've got to be famous for something, and you've got to be really good at something. So I'm a big believer in becoming famous for something. Design a hero service, put your time and effort into delivering that really, really well and marketing that brilliantly. It's going to work a charm. Okay. And just another thing on this here, as I mentioned earlier on, do the one-page strategy, the meeting rhythms. If you've got a team of 3 people like Robin has, have a meeting with them every day, 9:15 for 5-10 minutes. Just talk about what's got to be delivered, who's doing what, how they're doing things. Bang, just get it on. That's what the rhythm is about. Have a cleanup meeting at the end of the week, on Friday. Have a chat. Let's have an awesome weekend. What we're doing, and then Monday, check in. How are you going on Monday? How's the weekend? Okay, now let's get back to work. These are the things we've got to get done for the day. Those rhythms are really important. They start with the dailies, huddles, weeklies, monthlies, quarterlies, and yearly planning. And we take our clients all through that. It sets you free. It's part of the preloaded calendar. It really gets you focused on that. The LinkedIn with the CA, we call it campaign assistant. We've got the RTVAs. A lot of our clients just use the LinkedIn people. Outreach, come back, but do the messaging. Make sure that everything's right before it gets done. But don't do it yourself, and don't use automation. It's not about being banned. It's about things that happen. So our news, you'll see me guys on LinkedIn. You probably come through some of it on LinkedIn or marketing or email or whatever it is that you come through to this call today. We just ban people on LinkedIn using certain tools to do that, and sometimes manual people doing it. But that's different from what you're doing. If you're trying to go after mid to large enterprise, that's not the approach. They're never going to freaking sign up to a webinar for you and buy their product like I'm doing today for you guys. So don't say, oh, Ian's doing that. We do that for our clients as well, some of the LinkedIn marketing, and get into webinars, but it's different from what I'm doing, slightly different. Okay, there is a bigger difference with that. Then there's things like profit first, really important, how you actually make sure you're making money, and also installing that into the way you operate your business. That's hell of important. So anyway, there are a lot of things here. I'm just quickly going to increase this here. Does anyone want to talk about any of these items or ask a question? Some of these things are self-explanatory. Some of them are quite sticky or challenge. I just want to quickly ask you guys if there's anyone, because I've got about 5-6 minutes before Q&A, and then I know you guys want to get back to work. Anything else there? I mentioned the 6-week game plan. We install that in there so you can operate your business really well and you don't kill yourself with trying to do too many projects. When I see people, I talk to them, I go, hey, let's have a look at your internal initiative sheet. Oh, they got like a spreadsheet of 100 things, or not 100, but 30 or 40 things. And I go, crazy. So let's just knock those out and just focus on 2 or 3. Just nail that down. Let's get the right next thing and let's hone away and get some stuff done. Don't try and do too many things. Oh, I'm going to do that on the weekend. It just never gets done properly, never gets done. All right. Any questions there, folks, around any of those items in the roadmap that doesn't make sense or you want to ask about and get some little bit more detail around? Anyone out there? Can you see that screen? Hopefully you can. Okay. Any questions? Going, gone. All right. No questions there. That's good. So what about another 5 minutes left? That's how you can use this whole process to actually make sure you set your business up correctly and actually keep on going through a process of upgrading your business and to the next level. Okay. So I'm just going to quickly throw through here. Why is it important to do the roadmap? Well, you need certain things to get done so you get better as a business. That's pretty obvious. But if you have a team of 3 or 20 or 30 people, whatever it is, or 5 people, you've got to make sure that everyone's on the same vision. You've got to get everyone on the same page. So make sure that when you talk about these initiatives and what you're doing as a business, bring them onto the same page. That 1-page business plan, show them what you're doing as a business. Don't have to show the revenue numbers, show them what you're doing as a business. All right. You need to give staff a career path. All right. You need to build a team to really grow a business. You can't grow your business by yourself. It's like I've done this quite a few years. I've been coaching a lot of consultancy firms. All right. You cannot grow this by yourself. You need a team around you. Otherwise, it's not fun. The journey is not fun. And you're getting it tired really quickly. All right. So just make sure you get a team around you and you help them, leverage them to grow your company. Right. But, you're going to break things out and they might be involved in those 6-week cycles. That might be involved and help you out to get those 6-week cycles done. And that it's really important. But you also need to use this tool to help motivate people to do something bigger and to be part of something bigger. Because everyone wants to be part of a growing story. Like a lot of people say to me, when I spoke to them about the companies that I've run, and I've done really well, been at BRWs and done all those type of amazing things. But when I speak to old colleagues that used to work for me, they say, Ian, the most amazing thing was being part of the journey. Like saying, like, we could do these internal projects, we can be part of this, we can achieve that. It's like we're doing like 90% of the time we're billable on the client side, but every now and then we're in there, we're doing something else to help you grow the business. And that's how you leverage. Your biggest asset are your people. And the next thing is, how do you leverage those people? That's important. You have to have a process, and this roadmap will help you through that. Okay. So look, there's probably a ton of more stuff I've got to get through. But hey, there is that link that's been dropped probably a few times, hopefully into chat, to either join the Facebook group or give me a shout on the calendar, booking a calendar meeting if you want some more information. If you want to be part of the program, we've got a sort of an intake coming up at the end of June. That's kicking off the new year. So we'll take 3 to 4 new clients through that process of joining us between now and then. So if you want to also use the booking link to ask questions around joining that program, please feel welcome. There are small businesses there at the beginning of their phase when they're growing. You guys shouldn't have any big companies on this call, because we really target the right messaging to the right people. So you all should be fairly small, okay, consultancy firms, which is fantastic. And we do work with small consultancy firms because we invest a lot of time and effort. So I've got clients that have been with me 6-7 years plus, and they're still growing, and they're gone overseas, and they've gone global and a whole lot of things, which is all fantastic and exciting. But that might not be you, but you might be one of the other clients that I have that just say, hey, I want to have a really good income. I want to make sure I don't kill myself. I want to make sure I give opportunities to local people to grow in those businesses. So please feel welcome to join that next intake, which is coming up in the next 6 weeks. Okay, so I'm going overseas to visit some people. I've got a bit of a road trip, so I'll be all over the place, but book me in. I'll make a time to speak to you guys over the next 4 to 6 weeks. Okay.